A single Google AI search uses about 10 times more energy than a traditional web search. And as the world rushes to integrate AI into everything we do, global power consumption is skyrocketing. Can our current power grids handle this massive, unprecedented surge in demand? Though there was no dispute at the conference that AI requires massive amounts of electricity, what was less clear was where it is going to come from. It's no surprise that the primary driver behind this massive energy surge is data centers. Data centers are the largest driver of demand and energy growth, accounting for about 55% of demand growth in utility load forecasts over the next 5 years. This skyrocketing demand is already pushing up electricity bills for everyday consumers. In response, the Trump administration stepped in, securing a voluntary ratepayer protection pledge for major tech companies to cover their own power infrastructure costs and shield regular households. As a result, big tech is being forced to evolve into massive physical infrastructure investors. But this fierce competition is driving up development costs, making data centers more expensive to build and equip than ever before. The price of things like an electrical transformer have more than doubled over the last 4 years, and supply struggles to keep up with this new demand on top of supplying regular energy grids for regular households and businesses. It hasn't helped that a lot of these technical components have typically come from China, South Korea, Mexico, and Canada, making tariff disruptions harder to navigate. What this has meant is that since the supply of everything that goes into these data centers has been so limited, companies are buying everything they can as soon as they can, even if it takes a long time to actually be put into use. Together, the 4 major hyperscalers, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Meta, plan to spend a staggering $725 billion on their AI infrastructure strategies this year alone. It's an eye-popping sum that is making plenty of Wall Street investors nervous. But if they are throwing around nearly $750 billion, who is actually on the receiving end? One of the biggest beneficiaries of the AI boom is physical power infrastructure. In October, OpenAI wrote an open letter to the US government urging it to set an ambitious target of building 100 gigawatts a year of new capacity. This value chain shows exactly how that power travels from its source to its final destination. It's generated by nuclear, gas, or renewable plants, carried over long distances via high-voltage transmission lines, and then stepped down through transformers and distribution networks before it ever reaches the end user. As you can see, this creates an entire ecosystem of different players, and for investors, the trick is picking the right winners along the way. When it comes to power generation, nuclear energy is stealing the spotlight. The most critical metric to look at here is the capacity factor, which measures how close a plant runs to its maximum possible output around the clock. The higher the capacity factor, the more reliable and economical the energy. Because it runs 24/7, nuclear dominates this metric, boasting the highest capacity factor of any energy source on Earth. The undisputed titan in this space is Constellation Energy, which operates the largest nuclear fleet in the United States. Across their massive footprint, they command over 55 gigawatts of capacity, generating roughly 10% of the entire nation's emissions-free power. Following a deal with Microsoft, Constellation is planning to restart the 3 Mile Island nuclear plant in Pennsylvania from 2027 to address capacity shortages. But as AI data centers demand unprecedented amounts of continuous power, tech companies are looking into cheaper, faster, and more flexible options than traditional nuclear plants. They are betting on small modular reactors, or SMRs. These are essentially miniature, factory-built nuclear plants. Next-gen startups like Oklo and NuScale Power are already working closely with tech giants to meet the surge. Yet, if you're looking to invest in these SMR pioneers, there is a major catch. They are early-stage businesses that have yet to turn their massive hype into actual profits. On top of that, navigating strict regulatory pipelines means it will still take years for these miniature reactors to ever commercialize. Ultimately, the big nuclear bets are going to take time to bear fruit. So, what are the immediate alternatives keeping AI alive right now? Natural gas. It is already America's largest source of electricity, and it is quietly becoming the primary fuel for the data center boom. This is why businesses specializing in power conversion and massive gas turbines are highly sought after, with giants like GE Vernova capturing massive backlogs. Yet, waiting years for a grid connection is still far too slow for big tech. Instead, they are turning to solid oxide fuel cells, or SOFCs. These servers convert natural gas, biogas, or hydrogen into electricity through a combustion-free electrochemical reaction. This strategy is known as on-site generation. By building private mini power plants right next to their server rooms, tech companies can completely bypass the public utility queue. This behind-the-meter setup makes both power generation and consumption incredibly efficient. The fuel cells create continuous, steady baseload energy. And because generation happens right on campus, companies can capture and recycle the intense exhaust heat to drive data center cooling systems. To top it all off, they are integrating local renewables, like solar, to slash long-term electricity costs. Companies like Bloom Energy are leading the charge. The major bottleneck doesn't just exist in power generation. It's choking the transmission and distribution networks as well. The vast majority of our nation's transmission lines and substations are 40 to 70 years old. Making matters worse, the physical supply chain is heavily bottlenecked. Large power transformers are facing staggering lead times, averaging over 2 full years just for a single order to be delivered. Utilities around the U.S. are set to spend tens of billions of dollars on high-voltage lines, largely to meet demand from data centers. This grid crisis is exactly why specialty infrastructure contractors like Quanta Services and technology giants like Siemens Energy have become the ultimate gatekeepers to the AI boom. When the AI hype exploded in early 2024, investors blindly bought anything that even mentioned artificial intelligence, rewarding tech companies simply for spending money. By the end of that year, the market matured, drawing a clear line between the AI builders selling physical tools and the hyperscalers buying them. Today, Wall Street is strictly demanding to see the financial returns on those multi-billion-dollar purchases, separating the true winners from the losers. We don't know exactly what the future holds, but the architects of AI, Jensen Huang, Elon Musk, and Sam Altman, are all shifting their focus to energy. And for now, the money is following them.